Hello and welcome to Sketchplanations The Podcast. Chats about facts and ideas to help fuel your own interesting conversations. I'm engineer and broadcaster Rob Bell, and with me is designer and creator of Sketchplanations John O'Hay, and entrepreneur and past winner of The Apprentice, Tom Pellereau. This time, in the build-up to the Winter Olympic Games, we're talking about the Olympic flag. Hello, gents. How are we doing?
Good, thanks.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Did you just make up chats about facts? It's really good.
Yeah.
No, I didn't make it up. I scripted it earlier in the day.
Yeah, I liked it.
I
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Thanks.
Chats about facts.
Now, I know you're both fans of winter sports. Are you excited about the upcoming Winter Games in Milano Cortina, Italy?
I mean, it's always quite fun to see some stuff going on in the background and see how people are doing and see the crazy jumps and all the crazy sports where they rocket down things at crazy speeds. That's quite fun.
Okay, so I'm not getting the full excitement from you, John. I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't like, sit and make it a major part of my sporting calendar.
The Winter Olympics, my kids really adore skiing and winter sports. So unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity to just sit around all day watching them, as I would absolutely love to. But I can't wait to see the highlights each evening. And Ski Sunday is back on BBC on Sunday nights as well, which is kind of cool. So yeah, winter sports. Huge fan.
I love the Winter Olympics. I almost prefer them to the Summer Games.
Really?
No, genuinely, I love them. All the speed stuff, anything. Yeah, I love it.
Anything that could involve a big crash, I think is what you were going to say, wasn't it?
So impressive, isn't it?
Before we wander off on our love of snow and mountains, Jono, please can you tell us about the genesis of today's topic, the Olympic flag? The Olympic flag that is globally recognised, right?
Genuinely, it's quite impressive. And I partly did a sketch because I didn't know that much about it, but I think I read a rumour that the rings stood for something and maybe there was something in the colours. And so it was coming up to the Olympics last year. And most of the time I'd say like topics which are timeless and not connected to what's going on. But this time was definitely topical in the sense that the Olympics was coming up and I was thinking about the Olympics and I was thinking about the flag and I should find out what that is and what it's about. And that's why I went to go look for it. And it's really interesting. There's loads of stuff on the Olympics and the Olympics flag. And it's got quite a fascinating story. But I mean, the bottom line is for this sketch and what I felt like was worth getting across, because I think most of us are probably familiar with the Olympic flag. It's some rings on a white background, coloured rings on a white background.
That's how you'd best describe it, yeah.
Yeah. And so the idea that I wanted to get across was in reading about it, I learned that the rings symbolise the sort of 5 continents that were engaged in what the founder of the Olympics, Pierre de Coubertin, calls Olympism, which is like competing against each other to try and be the best that you can be. And of course, it's interesting. It's got 5 continents, but, and then also this lovely symbolism that they're interlaced. So there's not just 5 rings, but we're interlaced. And that was about the unity in the meeting of athletes from all these parts of the world coming together. And then also the colours, which certainly when it was made were chosen partly because you can look at every flag in the world and at least one of these colours will be in those flags.
Including the white background. That's on your sketch, right?
Yes, white was one of them, yeah.
So the 6 colours, which are the blue, yellow, black, green, red circles.
That's right.
Plus the white.
That's right.
Of the background. Like if you put all of that symbolism together, it's a really clever piece of design, right?
Yeah.
As well.
And I think it's quite amazing. And if you read some of the things that I linked on the sketch to an article about it, and growing up in the 80s, let's say, you just sort of, the Olympics was something that has existed for years and years, and it just feels sort of timeless. And you sort of have the sense that it goes back to the Greeks. But actually, like it started, around the turn of the 20th century, and it was started by Pierre de Coubertin.
The modern Olympics.
Modern Olympics, sorry, yeah. And it just sort of seems inevitable, but it's not at all. Like it wasn't a thing before that. And what was remarkable about the flag, like you said, about a very clever piece of design, it was also designed by the founder of the Olympics, the modern Olympics. Which I thought was quite, he didn't even hire a designer to do it, just made this flag. And you read some of the letters he sent about the early flag, he's really confident. He was like, we needed a flag. This is the flag. It will be recognized everywhere and it will symbolize this and everybody will be drawn to this symbol. And he was right.
I think he's achieved it.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pierre de Coubertin is quite a character when you start to dig in about him and his history and his past, and then his involvement in the Olympic Games as well.
You know a bit about him and the Olympics, is that right?
Well, so partly why I'm really excited to do this as well. A, the Winter Olympics is just coming up, but B, last summer I shot a whole series about the Olympics and Olympic history over at the Olympics Museum in Lausanne, which is the centre of the Olympics, of the modern Olympics. So the International Olympic Committee is based there, their museum's there, which is a fantastic visit for anybody who's going that way. Yeah, so we filmed a 10-part series over there, which I'll give a little plug for. It's called The Vault, and it's all about Olympic history and going through the archives of the Olympic Museum, of which they've got hundreds of thousands of artefacts from over a century of Olympic Games now, summer and winter. And we're speaking with the curators about the history and the significance of all these different artefacts and pieces. It's one of the best shows I've ever made, and you can watch it at olympics.com. Look for The Vault. I'll link to it in the show notes below. Genuinely, it was really, really fun. And I did discover some amazing things about Pierre de Coubertin as well. Unsurprisingly, he is quite celebrated within the at the Olympics Museum, I should say.
So what sort of a character was he to bring this together?
There's some bits here that I'm about to say that I didn't know before researching this podcast that was even more inspiring, really. His idea for reviving the Olympics was fueled by new archaeological discoveries at Olympia in Greece, which kind of ignited his interest. But he also had a deeper philosophical drive that sport could morally and physically re-educate the French youth, because at this time, from about 1880 onwards, and the modern Olympic Games started, as you say, at the beginning of the 1900s, France went through a bit of a restructure of its education system, and he felt that sport should be a big part of that. So part of what he did, he came up with the Olympic flag. He wrote the Olympic Charter, which is kind of a set of rules and principles that the Games and participants need to adhere to. That's still in place today. He also proposed the motto, which is Citius Altius Fortius, faster, higher, stronger. He's also an Olympic champion.
Amazing.
He is a literary gold medalist.
Beg your pardon?
In the early modern Olympic Games, there were competitions in
speed reading,
art, architecture, writing. There were two others, I can't remember what they were, in the kind of artsy, cultural part of the Games.
Way.
And under a pseudonym, he would submit pieces of writing, and he submitted a poem called Ode du Sport, which I read in this series. I read from his kind of original book. So an ode to sport. He wrote it originally in French. I think he also wrote it in English, or translated it himself into English. That was at the 1912 Games, and under a pseudonym, he won a gold medal for that.
I mean,
he's a heck of a chap.
Yeah.
He really is.
It's always a bit suspicious when the organiser wins a gold medal, there, isn't it?
Yeah, for an event which is sort of very
subjective.
Yeah, you're not being the fastest, you are writing something.
Is it a bit like at your birthday party as a 6-year-old when you win past the parcel?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, something's a bit fishy here.
And we did a drawing for a free holiday day at work, and the CEO was drawn out for a free holiday day. And you're like,
come on.
That's a great idea, by the way. I might have to do that one.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I read about the motto as well as the flag, with the faster, higher, stronger. And I also read that it was adapted more recently to add communito, I think, in the end, which is together.
Yes.
And I think the idea was it was all about sort of continual improvement, and you are coming together as meeting of athletes, but it's not all about the competition. The faster, higher, stronger is about, raising a new bar every time. I was thinking about like people versus physics. Because I think that's with Olympics, isn't it? It's like, what can we do as a species in this world of physics? It's quite amazing.
It is.
I had no idea that he did all that stuff. I remember reading that he came up with this flag and he just had this vision for this competition and everything, and just the sort of incredible confidence. You imagine how proud you would be about what you created all these years later.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately for him, there's nobody to be proud, because he was the end of the line of the de Coubertin.
Oh, right.
His only child died before he did, so that was it. That was the end.
Yeah.
Something you mentioned there, Jono, about the evolution of the motto. There's also been quite a bit of evolution in the programme of the Games as well. So, for example, we no longer have a gold medal for literary endeavours, but sports and events, you might say, within the sports do change and fluctuate over the years as well, for both the Winter and the Summer Olympics. So sometimes sports will go and sometimes sports will appear.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens quite a lot.
We loved all the skateboarding and mountain biking kind of ones.
Climbing.
Yeah, relatively new, those. Yeah.
When I thought about doing this sketch, because obviously the main thing was to explain what the flag meant.
Yes.
But I did think the original vision in my mind was I was going to surround it with little icons of all the sports that go in. And I thought about it. Well, first of all, I think in the summer one, there was 32 different sports.
Yep.
Which is quite a lot anyway. And then if I thought about the sports, I was like, well, how many events are there? And there's just enormous numbers. There's I think there's over 300.
Yeah, 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think of all the little division, it's not just running, right? It's steeplechase and hurdles and relay and speed walking and marathon, it's everything, and men, women, mixed, all sorts going on. So yeah, it's quite overwhelming actually when I thought about drawing all the sports and the events around it and where you would divide them up.
There are a lot.
I didn't even think about the Winter Olympics for that because, I guess it was the summer.
No one ever does.
But in terms of iconography, the flag itself, the fact that it doesn't even say Olympics on it, it doesn't describe itself at all. It is just purely 5 rings, 5 colours on this white background. And the fact that it is so unique, so easily recognisable, so different from a lot of other things. And it was quite interesting when you said it's created sort of early 1900s, in the fact that a lot of the tube stuff, which is also very iconic. So the round tube logo came out about 1910, and then later on the map, which was sort of 1930. But it's sort of clearly a time where really amazing kind of iconography and we're sort of coming out and becoming sort of strong, probably with the kind of advent of mass media and that sort of stuff, able to then spread these messages across, and clear logos were obviously very powerful and able to spread at that kind of time. And now, as you say, Robbie, I can't imagine a time where the Olympics didn't exist, but it's actually only 110 years old, the modern, in terms of those Olympic rings. It's fascinating.
In terms of a logo, it really is like that, because I hadn't really realised. I sort of felt like the Olympics belongs to everyone, but obviously that's not the case. And actually, when I was thought about doing this, it's not like you can just pick 5 circles and a slightly different red or green or yellow, and you can't have them, a fat circle or a thin circle. They have to be the right thickness, and even the sort of the surrounding white needs to be roughly in proportion to the rings, just like you would have with a logo. And also, I normally do prints for my sketches, and I realized that actually I can't do a print for the Olympics because it's owned. Yeah. And I went and checked all the rights very carefully, and they have some sort of educational provisions that enables you to share something like this. But actually, they're very careful about usage of it, and which obviously makes sense because it is an incredible brand.
Yes. And the values of that brand are protected.
Exactly. So they look after it, and you should do if you have something like that.
Can we talk about the 5 rings for the 7 continents of the world?
Yeah.
Well, I know that's something that I've questioned before, and it's possibly something that listeners might query as well.
Especially as there's space for 2 more at the top.
So we should bear in mind that one of the continents is Antarctica.
Yes. So uninhabited, pretty much. Well, there is no country,
Penguins
is it?
and scientists, right? So, and they're of all different nationalities anyway. So one of them is Antarctica. And also, when he created it, he had it as the 5 continents who were embracing Olympism, as he said it. And he put it down in one of the letters that I read of Africa, the Americas, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. And it's actually quite interesting because when I posted this not too long ago on Instagram, I had quite strong reactions to using the Americas.
The Americas. Well, that's the one that stands out, obviously, because it's North America and South America.
North America and South America,
when we're about 7.
And actually that writing the Americas was not even correct. But this was, to my knowledge, his original understanding of the continents that were doing this.
Do not have a dig at Jono about this. They're not his words. It's not his flag design.
It's Pierre de Coubertin. It was back in 1905 or something.
And his backward view on the world.
No, so it does seem a little bit not quite right these days.
6 would be tricky though.
Oh, you could put another one at the bottom very easily, make a triangle of circles.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about the 5 also, which I hadn't really thought about until I drew this, is that there is a right way up for the Olympic flag, which is that you have the 3 circles at the top. And I don't know if you remember the Paris Olympic Games. There was a brief time in the opening ceremony when the flag was raised upside down.
Is that right?
Which was apparently just an error, but everybody was reading all sorts of things into the symbolism of raising the flag upside down. But I believe it was just an error. But yeah, so it does have a right way up, the 3 at the top.
That's interesting.
But the colours don't apparently map to any of the continents. They just represent colours of the flags in general of the world.
Talking of flags at the Olympics, in more recent years, I think it might have been from Rio 2016, you had the introduction of the refugee Olympic team. And then in Paris, you had it's in French, but the athlète individuel neutre, so neutral participants, which was a teal flag with a circular emblem. And there were Russian and Belarusian athletes competing as individuals, not for any national team. Yeah. And there was no anthem played. But by doing this,
I think they did pretty well too as a group.
So that's the point. They weren't coming to the Olympics as individuals. They were coming as this united team. And the flag was that symbol of them as a team, that togetherness again.
Yeah.
Which is what John, you mentioned it earlier, which is what the Olympics is all about.
They used the Olympic flag, did they?
No, they used it as a separate flag. So most recently in Paris, it was a teal coloured flag with a circular emblem on it.
I'm not sure teal is in the Olympic flag, is it?
Although they've gone against their own founder there, then. You're right.
Rats.
Oh, dear.
I've forgotten about that. Yeah, that's brilliant.
That is a really important thing. Again, we did something on this in the series about the fact that even though they were coming as neutral individuals, they weren't participating as individuals. They had their own team, just not a national team.
It's quite a sort of lovely thing. I think about this with all the sort of global sporting competitions like the World Cup and football as well, but Olympics more than anything. It's sort of beautiful that we keep coming together as a race to do this. Humans versus each other, but also against physics. And, despite all the stuff that's going on in countries, generally speaking, Olympics have, apart from during the World Wars, my understanding is the Olympics have taken place. It seems like it can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Mentioning the war, there's a great story that came up. I was looking at posters in Lausanne because they've got an amazing collection of posters and archive of posters, as you would imagine. I saw 2 posters of Olympic Games that never happened, but there were fully designed and printed A1, probably larger posters for these games. One was Tokyo, which was selected as the host city for, it would have been the 1940 Olympic Games, I think it was. So in 1936, they were selected as the host city, Tokyo. And it was a historic decision at the time because it would have been the first non-Western city to host the Olympics. So the Games were scheduled for 1940, but then because of the outbreak of the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937, the Japanese government determined that they couldn't host the Games. And so they forfeited. So then the host city that came second in the kind of selection of cities who had bid for the Games in 1940 was Helsinki. So they were awarded the Games and preparations were all underway. They kind of built the Olympic Stadium. And then December 1939, they had to pull out because of the outbreak of the Second World War across Europe. But there was significant advance made in terms of the preparations for these Games. It was really cool seeing these posters. They're like, hang on. Tokyo 1940, I don't know. Helsinki 1940, I don't remember.
How can it be in 2 places at the same time?
It never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I read there were 3 that didn't take place. I think it was 1916, 1940 and 1944. But other than that, it's a pretty good record of showing up, isn't it?
The COVID one was delayed a year, wasn't it? The Tokyo
21, that took place. Yeah, instead of 2020. And then after the Second World War, it was London though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In 48.
Olympia.
Yeah.
Is the swimming pool.
Here we are, we're just going through some...
Yeah.
Let's do each one.
We love this stuff.
Can I bring it back to the flag? Can I bring it back to the flag and the logo?
Certainly can.
And another thing that I saw at the Olympics Museum was another poster. And I've read up about this since, but so this was a poster for the 1956 Winter Olympics in Cortina, so in Italy, again, where they're going to be held in a couple of weeks' time. It's quite a rare poster, I was told. They were kind of fixing it up. They've got, the studios and the labs they have down there to do all this stuff is just great. They have the perfect tool for all of the jobs for fixing little tears or whatever it might be on the posters. It's beautiful to see. So I saw this poster from 1956 and it was pointed out to me by the curator where the circles interlink. Printing technology at the time didn't really allow them to do that very well. And so there was some overlapping where it shouldn't have been. You know, where say the black goes on top of let's have a look at my flag, where the black ring goes on top of the green ring.
Yeah.
You'd actually have a little bit of bleed from the green on top of the black. It was some interesting bits that was pointed out to me about that. But then I also read that I think it was around 1960 that the logo itself was slightly redesigned to allow for printing technology, to be able to print it well without that kind of bleed. And then as printing technology has evolved, we've come back to the fully interlinked designs again now. But quite interesting. I mean, it would have been very, very subtle changes that were made that you probably wouldn't have picked up on, but they were officially accepted changes.
Yeah, it's one of these ones a bit like somebody asks you to draw the Union Jack, like the UK flag. Mm-hmm. Where you kind of know what it looks like. But if you go to draw it, you're suddenly like, oh, actually, what exactly does it look like? And then same with this. You're like, oh, yeah, it's like 5 circles. And you start drawing it and you're like, this one goes over that one, under that one. Hang on. And you have to go look it up. It gets quite surprisingly complex. Subtle when you get in there trying to draw it.
You did very well, Jono, in your replica. Very well.
I found one. And looked at it very closely.
What a great piece of design. Anything else anyone wants to add about the Olympic flag?
I want to just go watch your Olympics program now.
Oh, you really should.
So many fascinating stories over the years from the Olympics.
It's brilliant. It's called The Vault because we were down in the vaults of the Olympics Museum. It's at olympics.com.
Brilliant.
The Olympic Channel.
Lovely design. Really something to behold, isn't it?
There are not many designs. It's barely changed in 100 plus years, you know. And I know flags have some durability, but like as a logo as well in this sense, it's really lasted very well.
Yeah.
Credit to Mr. Coubertin.
And I believe, because a lot of people might be like, didn't they just copy the Audi logo? So apparently the Audi logo is about 20, maybe even 30 years later. It's not just like they didn't rip each other off, as it were.
Oh, I should also say, I think the flag from when this was first used at an Olympic Games, unsurprisingly, is at the Olympics Museum in Lausanne.
Of course.
There we go.
Impressive.
Right, Jono, Tommy, thank you very much. And thank you all for listening. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for the Winter Games to begin. And along with everybody else for those 2 glorious weeks, I will also become an armchair expert on the intense strategies and tactics of sliding Scottish granite along a 50-metre sheet of ice. Go Team GB, go well and stay well. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All music on this podcast series is provided by the very talented Frank Cinelli. And you can find many more tracks at frankcinelli.com.